One of the easiest ways to start creating forms is with a wizard. You can have a basic form up and running in as little as 3 clicks of the mouse. Let's create a form that takes a look at our orders. I'll click on Orders here, go up to the Create tab, and in the Forms group of the ribbon, I'll choose Form here. That creates a basic access form. Now it puts us in a mode called Layout View, where we can alter the form's design. So what I want to do is go over here on the View menu here, click on the drop-down, and choose Form View here to take a look at the data. Now this form is taking a look at our orders. If I look on the bottom of the screen, I can see that we're currently viewing information about record number 1 of 2,200. This particular record is for order ID number 10,000, which was placed on December 5th, 2008. This is the first record out of our orders table. And if I double-click on the orders table here, I can see that information here. Record number 10,000 was placed on December 5th, 2008. Let's go ahead and go back to that form. Now inside of this form, I can make changes to my data. So for instance, this order date, if I wanted to change it, I can click on it here, and then over here on the far right side, I'll click on the calendar picker. Let's go ahead and change that to the 1st of December, 2008. I'll go ahead and click on this pencil icon here to save that change. If I go back to the data table here, I can see that information has also changed right here in the data table. It now says December 1st. If I change it here in the data table, once again, I'll click on this calendar picker and choose the 5th here. Then go ahead and click on the pencil icon and switch back to the form. You'll see that information is reflected here. So we can use this basic form for data entry procedures. And while it's technically correct, order 10,000 was placed on December 5th, 2008 by customer 2461, it really leaves a lot to be desired. For instance, who is customer 2461? And what is product KE225? This form isn't giving us any deeper insight than simply reviewing the original source data table. Because our Access database is built around the idea of related tables, we can get that information by incorporating a few more data sources into our form. Let's use the Form Wizard to walk us through the process and get a more useful form than we have now. Let's go ahead and close out this form, and if it asks me, I'm not going to save any changes. We can also go ahead and close out the Orders table. I'm going to go up here to the Create tab, and in the Forms group here, I'm going to choose Form Wizard. In the Form Wizard, we can pull out the various fields that we want to see in our custom-made form. I'm going to make sure that it says Table Orders right up here on the top. And then I'm going to go down to the available fields and choose Order ID and Order Date and move them from Available to Selected by clicking on this arrow here. I'll move over Order ID and Order Date. Now instead of moving over the customer ID number, I want to get the customer's name. If you remember, I can get that information from the customer's table. So I'll come back up to the dropdown, choose the table Customers, and I'll choose first name and move that over, as well as last name. I also want to see what product they ordered, and I can get that information from the products table. I'll choose it from the list here, and in the available fields, I'll choose the product's name here, and add that over to selected fields. Now I've assembled 5 separate fields from 3 different tables: the order ID and order date from the orders table, the first name and last name from the customers table, and the product name here from the products table. Let's go ahead and say Next. This screen is asking us how we want to view our data, and it defaults to this By Order section here. You can see that all the information is going to appear in a single form. We'll talk about these other 2 options, by products and by customers, in just a moment. For now, just go ahead and choose By Orders and say Next. We'll go ahead and accept the default layout. I'll press Next, and I'll accept the default name. Go ahead and press Finish. That leaves us with a new orders table that gives us more information than the one we just had. For instance, I still see the order ID and the date here, but now I can see the customer's name and the specific product that they ordered. If you look on the bottom, I can still see that I'm looking at record number 1 of 2,200. Let's go back through that wizard a couple more times and take a look at some of the other options. Let's go ahead and close out this form, and I'll go back up to Create, and in the Forms group, I'll choose Form Wizard. We're going to pull information from the same tables, so let's go ahead and choose Order ID and Order Date again. I'll change this to the table Customers, and I'll grab the first name and last name. And once again, I'll change to the table Products and grab the product name. Let's go ahead and say Next. Now, instead of viewing our form as a single form here, by orders, let's go ahead and change it to by products. When we change it to by products, I get 2 options down here on the bottom: Form with subforms or linked forms. Let's first take a look at the form with subforms. Up here in the icon, we can see that we're going to get the product name here, and then underneath it, we're going to have the order ID, order date, first name and last name of the customer in a separate little table here that describes each product. Let's go ahead and say Next, and we'll accept the defaults here. And once again, I'll just say Finish. That creates a new form where I can cycle through my various products. If I take a look at the bottom, I can see that I only have 47 records now. These are the 47 individual products that we sell. If I cycle through these records, I can see the different products changing up here, and I can see a table identifying all the orders that were placed for each product. For instance, record number 4 is our 4-pack of 13-watt light bulbs. Here I can see that I have 35 different orders placed for those light bulbs. Here are the order ID numbers, the dates that the orders were placed, and the name of the customer that placed that order. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more option through the wizard. I'll go ahead and close this out. Once again, I'll go to the Create tab and choose Form Wizard. We'll build a form using the same information as before. So once again, I'll go to the Orders table and choose Order ID and Order Date. From the Customers table, I'll choose first name and last name. And from the Products table, I'll choose the product name. Once all 5 fields are over here, I'll go ahead and say Next. This time I'll choose By Products, and we'll choose this option here as linked forms. Again, the preview window updates to indicate that the name is going to be a separate form from the rest of the information here. Let's go ahead and say Next. This time I'm going to give them names. We're going to save these tables and work on them in the next movie. For the first form, I'm going to call it Product Selection. And for the second form, I'm going to call it Orders for Product. Let's go ahead and say Finish. And then I'll open up the new form. Now I can see 2 separate forms here. On the first form, I have the 47 individual products. I can cycle through the different products here. And then once I find the one that I'm interested in, I'll press this Orders for Product button here to see the orders. Now there's a little bit of a bug that happens when Access creates this form. This button here, if you try clicking on it, you'll notice that nothing happens. The label Product Selection is actually on top of the button. In order to fix that, we need to hop into Layout View for just a moment. We're going to take a look at Layout View in the next movie. But for now, just click this button here called View to switch to Layout View. I'll click on the Product Selection label here, and using the arrow keys on my keyboard, I'll scoot it over a little. Then I'll select the button, and using the arrow keys, I'll scoot it over here to the right. Then I'll move the Product Selection label here back to the beginning. Okay, let's switch our form back using this View button. And now I can choose a product here. For instance, I'm going to choose this 8-pack of 13-watt bulbs, which is product number 5 of 47. I'll press on Orders for Product, and I'll see a separate form for all of the orders that were placed for that product. So using the wizard, we were able to create 3 slightly different user experiences. And using data from multiple related tables, we're able to get details on the order activity at Kinetico. As is typical with the objects created with the wizard, we have a good starting point, but we need to clean this up a bit before it's really presentable. We'll take a look at the layout view in the next movie to finish this form.